This is the yap that doesn't end. Yes, it goes on to read again. Some people started yapping it, not knowing what it was, but we'll continue yapping about comics just because this is the yap that doesn't. This is the comic Hyde Street by Geoff Johns and Ivan Reis, both who are extremely well-established creators in the comic book industry. We're given a location, it's Hyde Street, but there's construction, and this little old lady trying to get her bag of groceries home. What really struck me about this story was the art. Look at this little old lady. The details are exquisite. Just by looking at her eyes, you get a sense of her concern, the trepidation for the current situation she finds herself in. When suddenly, this Boy Scout appears. Look how well drawn, the warm light of the construction barrier illuminating his uniform, a slight smirk on his face, an open welcoming gesture of the hand. But something I didn't notice at first is his shadow. It's not solid and shapely, almost like it's being smeared across the pavement. He introduces himself by troop number, not by name, and offers to help her so he can get his Supporting a Senior Citizens badge. And as soon as she agrees to help, the crosswalk light activates, which is odd because they made a point to show us that it's out of order. The woman starts opening up to the boy, giving him all sorts of background information about all the loss in her life, her child, her husband, and then the Boy Scout empathizes with her by telling her he once lost his pet hermit crab. It feels like they're bonding until he asks this. Look at the change in his eyes. What is he? The lettering here is so perfect. She's confused about his question, and so was I. When he says, "in the bag." Wait, what do you mean what's she hiding in the bag? We've seen them. They're just groceries, right? He gleefully shoves the bag back into her arms. But when we look at the image now, all we can see are glass bottles sticking out of the bag. What kind of trickery is this? What's happening? And then we get this sequence of panels. First, we find out the bottles, they're full of cyanide. Yum, a deadly toxin. They hiss and they begin to melt her hands with some sort of acidic flame, and she drops them all to the ground in pain, all while he giggles beside her. As the cyanide bottles burn beneath her feet, she melts into the pavement and exclaims, "She's stuck!" This panel is so good as she cries for help. The boy begins to describe what sounds like murder. Murders she committed. All while the steamroller comes up from behind her. What a beautiful balance between tension and reveal. The details of the murder keep coming in, and the association between the bag of cyanide and the details of how she murdered her family come to light drop by drop in her husband's oatmeal. And she did all of that methodically for 3 years. That takes dedication, patience, psychosis. I love how he's holding up the fingers as he talks about how many years it took for her to kill her husband. But also, this is a Boy Scout symbol. He's a Boy Scout. So when he says the next line, whatever demonic way he's saying it, it just cuts a little deeper. Also, every time he says something like this, he looks a little more demonic, twisted. I love it. She, of course, denies any wrongdoing and begs for him to help. And he just revels in her situation and loves the fact that she refuses to ask for forgiveness for what she's done, to admit it. Look at his eyes. Those aren't human anymore. The steamroller gets to her and splat. I love the cutaway. This semi-normal again, but we can't see him that way anymore. No, not after what we've seen him for what he really is. And especially not here where her blood splatters across his grinning face. This line, "You mess with a kid and I mess with you," is something a debt collector would say. A demon come to extract penance or from the wrongdoings of the living. And based on everything we've seen, that may just be the case. They really don't shy away from the gore. We're given the full aftermath of what the steamroller can do, and based on her backstory, I feel nothing. The Boy Scout runs into what I could describe as the main character, a tall man wearing X-ray glasses. This introduction is paralleled by narration that serves to enlighten the reader, although just a bit, about what Hyde Street really is. The man looks down at the boy angrily as he talks about wanting to get out, but also says that the boy is the one stopping him from doing so. And look at the Boy Scout, confident, looking up at him with his hands on his hips. He's not intimidated in the slightest. Is the man in the glasses also a demon? What brought them to the street? What purpose do they perform? So many questions. This is a long conversation between Mr. X, that's our MC's name, and the Boy Scout. But to sum up the whole thing, they're reapers of sorts, guides for the damned, and their job is to exact punishment for someone named the Scorekeeper. And the boy keeps stealing Mr. X's victims. No, that's not the right one. Volunteers, yes, that's what we'll call them. They've volunteered to have this happen to them through their actions and misdeeds. This makes Hyde Street a type of crossroads for the souls of the damned. We get some backstory as to how Mr. X became a resident of Hyde Street. He was a con man, a swindler, a modern-day podcaster, and children were his victims. There's a great deal of hooing and hawing when this little girl shows up, and after all the nasty things we heard him say about children, it is no surprise he dismisses her immediately. But that all changes with one word: Daddy. I love the look on his face as he turns back to look at her. All the blustering and haughty nature crumbles like sand at the utterance of the word. She hands him a letter, so he knows it's not a prank or scam. And she tells a tale of an abusive uncle who drinks and abuses her. But he spews narcissistic self-reflection about not wanting her to begin with and not wanting anything to do with her. And as she calls him daddy for a third time, his rage at the situation boils over and he screams at her. I love the depiction of the hands reaching up. They're reaching for him. She runs away and he calls for her, realizing what he's done. Maybe there's still some good left in him. He chases, but it's like he can only catch up to her shadow. And soon he finds himself on the street, but it's not his street. No, it's Hyde Street. You can see the lost souls wandering in the background, and look, who's the first person to greet him? And what's fun about this panel is the Boy Scout is trying to sell Mr. X something. This is how he hunts. He tries to pull the damned further down the wrong path. Mr. X bought the lemonade, maybe it'd be poison. And he'd say something like, no refunds, just as Mr. X did. A taste of your own medicine. That means right here, right now, Boy Scout was hunting Mr. X, trying to trap his soul. I love this 3-panel set. We're back in the present, and Mr. X is trying to confront the Boy Scout at his home, a treehouse in the woods. And the Boy Scout is obstinate about his way of playing their little game. He's going to take as many souls as he can, trapping them all forever. We get his real face. He's like a little gremlin, no longer human. That's for sure. But what's important here, besides this reveal, is the concept that the residents are after the souls of the damned so that they can get out. And the number is 10,000. This is a great revealing panel. It's a scorecard for the residents. Who has how many souls that they've successfully delivered? We get so many names of the residents and even some hidden in case the production team wants to expand after the first season. So here are some major ones to zero in on. First, Mr. X. He's a modest 2,103, nowhere near the 10,000. Then there's Prank, the Boy Scout. We got his name finally. At 18,231. He has almost double the amount of souls they need to get out. So why is he still there? He just likes it? He doesn't want anyone else to get out? He doesn't want to get out? All are valid reasons. The last is just a side note, but see someone named the Colonist and their number is unknown. This place seems very magical and controlled pretty strictly. So what does unknown mean? I want to know. This is the art for chapter 2. There's a lot to unpack. Pranky sitting at a malt shop that just so happens to be on fire. A police officer tied up next to him, screaming, beginning to burn, while the shop owner seems to be spontaneously combusting. Oh, and a dog happily nomming on a keep's arm. But if you look in the darkness, you also make out a figure, a demonic shape, lurking and watching. And if you read the sign carefully, you'll notice the words kill, rip, and feed demon. Awesome. But this is where we're gonna stop. Each chapter is a lost soul on their way to damnation by one of the residents. Standalone tales that weave in the backstories of the residents, as well as small pieces of understanding about Hyde Street, the scorekeeper, why they're all there. It's a great mix. The residents all seek to score the soul so they can escape. But as we watch them operate over and over again, I had to start asking myself, is this an act worthy of salvation and redemption? Or are they just sinking deeper into hell with every soul they reap? We saw Pranky. He has over 18,000 and he's lost his humanity. Maybe it's something he lost long ago and I'm overthinking it. Or maybe he's become a true demon through the reaping. And I do have a problem with Mr. X. He's supposed to be the main character and he's decent so far, but I just feel like his participation in the first book was somewhat lacking. He's there, don't get me wrong, but we go on a few more side stories in which other residents are the main characters of, and he doesn't participate. And we show off these residents and I just forgot about them because the writing was just that good. You lose yourself watching the wicked get what they deserve and you forget about the bigger story at play. I just don't care enough about him. I could care less if he escapes or not. I don't know. I love the use of Hyde for the name of the street. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, showcasing the duality of mankind. It's a nice touch as it parallels the lost souls who wander the streets. They try to hide who they really are, but the residents, they see right through them. They know their sins. I give Hyde Street 5 out of 5 parasites. Next time you're gonna go and do something terrible to another person, don't! Or you may end up on Hyde Street. Cheers. Guess it goes on to read again. Some people started yapping about comics they didn't know, but we'll continue yapping about comics just because this is the yap that does.